This is Harry Gines, the first black man in U.S. history of reparations. I'm coming today to speak on some issues of black history. Black History Month started during the time of Lyndon B. Johnson. But as we look at black history, we must come into an understanding that the history is really a very short time span that we can reach back, and only in reaching back will we be able to find the solutions and ask for why we're in the condition that we're in today in the 21st century. Now, with that being said, we have to do a time travel to search the origin. Once you're able to search the origin of where the problems had originally started with black people in the United States as for their belief in their citizenship. Citizenship is very important that they have an origin to. How is it that a slave, a U.S. slave, in the era of Lincoln could be a U.S. citizen of the 21st century, even being involved in politics and things of this nature that we see today is completely in shambles. The political system of the United States is very questionable and has been questionable, but yet through the history or the education of black people, there's been many things that has not been made available to them. So if I can get to the meat of it and have just a few moments of your time to go over just some parts of history of a book. But even that has to be explained also, because in reading a book on black history or U.S. political issues, you would have to keep in mind, again, whoever is writing, and we know who is doing the writing, because it wasn't anyone black for sure doing the writing. So the time span of everything is very important to check dates and eras. And if we could use after the Civil War and the era of Lincoln being deceased. Once Lincoln became deceased, a lot of things changed. So you have almost two sets of laws. You know, you want to say Lincoln's laws don't count, but yet you want the administrations after Lincoln and very early to Lincoln, like, let's just say, Andrew Johnson. So if we get right in there at that era, we will be able to have a pinpoint of where a starting point of the knowledge that black people have as far as politics. Their lives have been altered in such a way that their lives believe a certain thing. But how can it be in your life that you have certain parts missing that you just won't accept? You only accept the eras of the life after Lincoln's death. So that makes it very difficult in trying to touch on a subject of politics for U.S. blacks, because they will not or do not go any further back to deal with Lincoln. And that was the man who freed them. So it's very difficult if you just look at it just from a book standpoint, as for how blacks are educated. Once you are able to look at the dates and you would say, well, everything has an origin, so why are these dates being presented, but not any other dates as far as the person who freed them? That's all I'm trying to get out to say. So if I can get straight to just a few illustrations based on politics and the understanding of why U.S. blacks think a certain way, or the acceptance, however you want to look at it. They accept only the life after Lincoln, not the life of Lincoln, the man who freed them. And it's very simple. Let me just get straight to the meat of a few illustrations, please. If you look at it, this portion will show you something that may be interesting. Now, if you could just read that, see if I can get that in your screen. Take time and read that when you get a chance. There is no rush to anything in reading this. It may be something it may be something you don't know. But if you just try to go back and do a time travel of the origin. So with this being part of a few illustrations that I will be showing today, let this be a starting point of what it is about how U.S. blacks actually think when it comes in terms of politics. And this being this is one of the first black men to enter politics. This would be something of interest, And again, it comes after. After Lincoln's death, black people had entered politics, but a lot happened and a lot didn't happen. So there's a lot of battling going on in politics at this time that the education is just not reaching the people. See if you can catch any of this, because like I said, if you have it on your screen, you would be able to go back and do a study on it sometimes. And look at your dates and understand why you're looking at dates after Lincoln's death. That's all I'm trying to bring to your attention from the start. But these pieces here will be very important just to read it, because coming from a book, you would have to start to question certain things as far as your education is concerned. Black History Month is coming up. The new year being 2019, this could be something that you could raise as some educational questions. Why is it? Why is it that, when it comes to the draft and politics, all of these things are held to you as a U.S. citizen. But technically, Lincoln did not make you a citizen. That comes after his death. So you being a citizen hasn't really been that long. And in your thinking as a citizen, are you really sure that all the full realm of citizenship you are willing to accept? You can't take bits and pieces. Everything is in part anyway. Anything that's in part must be questioned. And that is the history of U.S. blacks. Their history is in part because as you look at dates, and as you look at how they're educated, they're only educated with a focus after Lincoln's death. And that is just an issue that has never really been addressed. So as I keep bringing these illustrations to you, let me stand just for a second. Because as time passes, you would have to recognize that there are things that it just doesn't occur like that. Everything being in part is something that you take an interest in. And I think this would definitely conclude this portion. This portion will conclude what I have for that. That's one extra page in there that you might want to spend some time at to check out. These areas of and by the way, this is a college edition. This is a college edition, a 1975. People spoke differently back then. You will find the word black not addressing U.S. blacks. They didn't even have the term, was just coming out in 1975, the slogan, I'm black and I'm proud. That's around 1975, just trying to get started. Before, they were just Negroes. That was a term that was acceptable. So, like I said, their history, U.S. black history, is just very shallow. Even in how do you even categorize or give a name? Every race has a name, or what it goes by, but a U.S. black is a descendant of a slave. So he's not necessarily, he is of African descent. That is how the language of the law reads. I mean, not basically reads, that's how it reads, African descent and Negro. You won't see much black there, not in law of how it was originally written. You won't see that. Books have been altered to, this book was discarded. This is, how can you discard a history book? So when you're discarding history books and you just have a new beginning of history, all of that, I mean, with this thickness of a book, you mean you couldn't get the man who freed U.S. blacks in this thick of a volume? But you only seem to want to give the focus after Lincoln's death. So anything after Lincoln's death is always at odds. You see, because no one has what Lincoln originally wrote. Some do, but that's a small percentage. You see, it doesn't exist in the education of U.S. blacks. Not what Lincoln wrote. They don't have a way of retaining it, just in common education. This is higher learning education. You would have to go, to college, universities to get such information. And that's really unfair. Everybody is just not capable of getting these informations out, So in 1975, they were trying to discard history books. My family was not for that. Keeping that real short, starting no history book. Why would you want to do something like that? So in these books, as they come back in the 21st century, to bring some light so that people can understand just how are you evolving into your way of thinking right now. It's very questionable. Politics is something like, as we fast forward just a little bit, into the 20th century or the 19th century. We won't even skip that. Let's make sure we get some 19th century and some 20th century foundation. Because by the time the 20th century came, politics and business became as one. You see, and that's hard for a person in the 21st century to accept, because in trying to solve some of the problems of the 21st century, it's really very simple. I will tell you right now, and a lot of people question why I say I refuse to vote, and we'll spread the word, don't vote, because you really don't understand all the full realms of politics. Politics and business, they are as one. Now, that doesn't make any sense to you, but ask yourself one question. That's all you would have to do. To any candidate running. For some of it could be simple, but it's never revealed to the people. You have 21st century tech. So what I'm asking of any candidate, who do you know? I mean, you might be a popular person. I mean, for that matter, this is what happens. People are running because they're popular. You see, and when you're popular, yeah, you probably will generate a lot of votes, but what is your understanding of the office in which you're really trying to win? Business and politics are one. So again, I ask you, who do you know? Ask any candidate that. You see, there are a lot of popular people, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't win the office. But if you still got there and didn't know anybody, who am I speaking of knowing? You must know someone in business. They are one. You see, in other words, if you were voting for someone today, it would be very easy. Who do you know in business that can transform the Black community into a business district? That's what politics is supposed to be about. And you, as a politician, why can't you give up that information? As for, who do you know? Do you know Shell Oil? Do you know any of the McDonald's, Burger King, any of this, the basic daily life companies that make up a city? Who do you know? Who do you know that can bring as a franchise to some of the boulevards that are non-existent that once was a business area within the Black community? So if you got a candidate, he may look good, he may be shining, but asking the question is very simple. If you can't tell me who you know that's going to come down and transform this business district, once was business district, back into something that the community can benefit from, then why should anybody be even thinking about voting for you? That's why I say don't vote, because you don't tell me who you know. You see, so it's all connected with politics and all of the full realm of what citizenship brings. You see, you want to be a black person and you're popular, yes, you probably could win some offices. But when it still comes down to it, it doesn't matter how popular you are. If the people who you got to go seek, and you really haven't been doing it at all. That's why I say none of the politicians have shown to have any worth as far as having an interest in the black community. Since when? Since when? If you look at it, if you can't get a business district down there, then what is that telling you? You see, it is very possible to list the people you know and who are in agreement with the boulevard new centers that are coming. I'm not asking for that much, but until you get me a candidate that's willing to say, I'm endorsed by a major corporation that's seeking to use that corner lot that once was a business, redeveloping it. If you're that candidate that can say that and show the people that, hey, look, I'm in with, Shell Oil. You in with Shell Oil? And you got an endorsement by Shell Oil that can say they can put a gas station on that corner, then you would be the person I would vote for. If you can't do that, then what are we talking to you for? You're in the way. I'm looking for a candidate who can do that. That's why I say you can go to any one of these candidates. I don't care what city they're from. They are not using 20th century tech at all. Because it's very possible to draw a diagram on a computer and you can pass that out. Look, this whole boulevard here is going to be a fast food chain. This is going to be a fast food strip. All kinds of, businesses, et cetera, et cetera. I've contacted the owners. They're willing to buy and purchase the lots and construction contracts and everything coming in. You would be somebody that the black community would be very interested in. But just you being cute, your hair all whipped, dressing good, smelling good, you're worthless to me unless, like I said, you got some names of who you know and what those people are willing to do in the black community. Now it's very simple. You can keep following these pretty faces, all the talented ones you want. This is what they do. This is the game they do. But if you're talking politics, now you didn't enter into a new arena of the game. What are you going to do in the black community on paper? Now, hear me out. Hold on. Because we can put anything on paper, and people have been known to, break treaties and agreements and contracts and everything else. We understand that. But all I'm saying is, at least come correct. Okay? I don't see you even coming correct. So I don't know what you're letting out your mouth. It's not necessary for you to let anything out of your mouth that you can't put in black and white. That is business and politics as one. They're both the same. You see, now, people don't like how that sounds, really. I know they don't, but in the history of it all, as a black person, you was a product. You see, being imported as a product, which generated taxes as a business to be sold within the mainland as a black person. So you should know all this anyway by birth. You are a tax and always have been. You see, taxes and business, all of that is one. I can't change that, but you can get behind anybody you want. Get behind them. All you need to do, if you're really serious about the communities that are dilapidated, you see, because the rich black, well, it don't affect him the same. See, that's a whole nother ball game. Now you got classes of blacks, rich blacks, poor blacks. The rich blacks, they see things, trying to get with people of their status. They ain't worried about looking back so much. You see, not saying all, we ain't saying all of them, but they are successful and they don't take the guilt trip. Okay? That's not going to work. Some who feel compassionate might do something, but it's bigger than them when it gets through with. Not taking nothing away from T.I. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, T.I., all y'all, look, we're not taking anything away trying to put you on Front Street like that. It's not saying, what your efforts are in vain. No, we're not saying that. But it's just bigger than y'all too, though, man. You need some help with what you're trying to do. It's a good example. So that makes that perfectly clear. When a man, gets in there with contractors himself, trying to make sure that the project comes about, look, we done already covered that before. You are something that is invisible. That's rare. So we all do respect for that. But these people who keep playing in this politics because they're popular, just think about what you're doing. Because I ain't trying to take no money out of nobody's pocket, trying to ruin the game, whatever. No, that's not what this is about. All I'm saying is whoever you are, who do you know that's willing to come into the black neighborhood? Because that hasn't been done. Okay, I don't see it. Like I said, I already mentioned about them few. But as a whole, they're a small percentage trying to get something down there that people can enjoy. The basics. A gas station. I'm not asking for much if you want to vote, because you speaking the way you speaking, you don't have my interest at all. That's pretty much all of them. Everybody can always speak in a larger percentage and small percentage. Politicians, as a whole, is a small percentage of don't have my interest at all. I probably don't have their interest either, because I'm just telling the truth. You could do better, but you don't. So ain't no need of us getting caught up on trying to vote on something that ain't never happened. Okay, try it this way. Donald Trump, just gave $6 billion. And that might be a little small. It might have been 60 billion. I don't know, but I heard 6 in there somewhere, but it was definitely in the billions. Going to Israel. Now, can any president, he doing the same thing as in business prior to him? They give billions away. You see, but when it comes down to trying to fix some of these issues in the black community, it just don't make it there. In fact, it's more of a draining of the black community that takes the taxes out of the black community and it goes somewhere else to the white communities, but the damn sure ain't being used in their own neighborhoods. But taxes are one thing. So we got to keep that in mind. Most of them try to get in there with a tax budget, but a high school student can really do that. Draw up a tax budget. I'm not talking about a tax budget. That's very common and very typical for a 21st century, 20th century, 19th century. They all talk about taxes as to fixing something. So hold on. No. In the 21st century, you need to be talking about who do you know? And that's what I want to hear. That's the first thing. Who do you know? And can you get that person to put something on the boulevard that once was? It ain't nothing there now. Okay, so you got a lot of work to get a person to say a white person is willing to come back into the white neighborhood that once was. It once was a white neighborhood. Let's make that clear. He left the white neighborhood so that blacks, when they started moving in, he didn't have to deal with none of that. Whatever was coming, he left. Okay, so like I said, it was once a white neighborhood. Okay, make sure we understand that. And they just left. Okay, sold out however they got up out of there. They ain't want to mix with you like that. Okay, now that same type of pattern, how you gonna get somebody white that owns like Shell Oil? Most of them people, the major companies and enterprises are white. Why would they want to come back to something they was trying to get away from? So you got your hands really full trying to convince me who you know and who is really willing to come back into a neighborhood that they was trying to leave away when they saw you in the first place. Okay, so keep that in mind. You got a lot of work to do. Okay, you want to say you want to do it with all black businesses? Who you know? I mean, then you going back to an entertainer who does have money, a lot of money, but it's bigger than them. See, I side with them in a sense. I'm proud of them in a sense, but it's bigger than them. You only got one school, you know, and how many houses is T.I. trying to build? I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot of work. You know, you got to help him out. You know, don't let T.I. play that Monopoly game by himself shooting them down. No, T.I., look, I'm going to get me some land and stuff too. See, you got to help him out. You know, he keeps shaking them dice on you. House after house, hotel after hotel. You know, T.I., get you like that. You know, because you ain't stepping up. So what you want him to do? Dice is in his hand. You know, you got to get the dice out of his hand. You ain't helping him out. He's steady shaking on you. Yeah, he hitting that lick. But no, in all seriousness, you know, it's wonderful what y'all do. You know, the entertainers, you know, I'm kind of hard on y'all at times, but, you know, I know what y'all do. And sometimes y'all like to be anonymous. That's fine too. You know, but it's bigger than y'all. It is. And I side with you. It's bigger than y'all. But we have to recognize the education, how we got into this thinking has been an unfair. You see, you are talented. Somebody else may never be a Michael Jordan. That thing about be like, come on, stop that. He is Michael Jordan for a reason. You know, but now if he, like I said, if he entered another arena, you know, something that he might find himself going up against me on in my arena, he might can't work like that. You know, a man works hard. But when Cotton was king, you never really had a chance. And Lincoln was trying to get you right. You see, but a change came in. Put that thing on him. Lincoln's no more. You see, so now all you have is a history after Lincoln in politics that really don't work. You know, I mean, Martin Luther King came around, you know, he did come around, but there's one thing people need to realize about, you know, when people start speaking about Martin Luther King, you know, I have him, you know, but the strangest thing about Martin Luther King is that even he reached his prominence, you know, at a certain time when he was gone. You know, to get a magazine cover, I spoke on that before, you know, and people make such an issue, you know, of a cover, but yet, if you was really in the day and time of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, they wasn't making cover. No, they was only making cover like on maybe a Jet magazine. You might have caught him on an Ebony or something like that, but to get a Life magazine, no, he was only a mere article. You know, they didn't look at him like that. You know, so I think I wanted to show y'all something about that, though. I really did. I don't know if I have it. Just look at this one for 1 second. Just 1 second. This is really important as we show the pattern. Because it's, you're dealing with politics. Martin Luther King really is the only thing that's been kind of successful. And I say kind of. You know, but that's not Martin Luther King, though. No. Look at that. Look at the year and date, whatever you want. Look at that. You see that? See the year and all that? Nothing being hit. It's right there. Look at it. You see that? But that's not Martin Luther King. You see, on a cover, you would think that Martin Luther King should be the cover. You know, well, what happened to that? You know, why is Martin Luther King, you know, not even really making cover back then? Martin Luther King can't make cover. You know, that is really a strange one. You know, flip through that for a second, baby. See if you can find Martin Luther King. You know, he in there. But see, Martin Luther King and the, what is that? Lyndon B. Johnson. Because John F. Kennedy is already gone. You see, yeah. But his kids made cover. You see, but yeah, John F. Kennedy is already gone. You know, yeah. So he didn't make cover. You know, and then by then here comes Lyndon B. Johnson. This is all tied to Black History Month. Lyndon B. Johnson was someone who when you check the dates and stuff like that, you go right here, check your dates. But Lyndon B. Johnson was the one who actually started Black History Month. He gave it a day, you know, because like I said, you know, John F. Kennedy had been assassinated, you know. Now, that's a real strange time because the time period between John F. Kennedy and Lincoln was the only time that something ever really happened that was favorable for blacks, desegregation. Now that helped a lot of people, but again, desegregation is something that you have to really take another look at because there's thousands, tens of thousands of homes in the 21st century that have been abandoned for black people leaving, you know, the neighborhood and chase behind some white people. Call it whatever you want. A higher rent, a higher mortgage payment, a better life. However you want to look at it. But they left the city. So desegregation is also part of the issue of how the city turned into, yes, what it is today in the 21st century. Desegregation caused all that. Now, excuse me, you know, let me show something here. Again, remember that magazine? I had some assistants. But remember that magazine I was showing you? You know, and look at the date on that. Look at that date. That date's very important, you know, but it's not a cover. It is a cover for her, but look at this man. All of those people, you know, made the list. You see, they made it. They made the list of the magazine articles, but they're not a cover. You see, it was a moment, but it didn't make cover. So when you make cover and you start talking about something being important, you know, all of this is very important for black people, you know, given the date and time, but it couldn't make cover. You see, that's why I keep trying to tell you how people make something bigger today in the 21st century than what it was at the time. It was big at the time, but again, is it big enough for white people really to give it an interest of a cover? Evidently not. They didn't feel it at all. They felt it probably was something that was, as President Obama said, ride it out. That's all they was looking at. It's a little uprising, ride it out. But today in the 21st century, that may not be, it's lingering. It has its moments like the knee and all that. Where the knee at? See, so everything becomes trending and things get rolled out, you know, and that's what happens with your education too. But you only gave part of it to begin with. Now, with that, we're going to go back just a little bit more and backtrack a little bit. Backtrack just a little bit, you know, because you have tycoons, you know, people like Henry Ford making cover. Look at your date. Look at your date real good. This man was at his high point of his life. You know, tycoons like this. Who you know as a politician? You see, so I didn't put no race to that. I don't care what color you are, really. It's not even important to me. I'm only trying to get a better way of life for a low class, you see, of a people. They're not low class. No, they're not. Okay, but they're class low, and they don't have, you know, any chance of really elevating their life because they're not talented. They could be talented with their hands, but you never gave them a chance in the Cotton Day, as far as giving them that land, because you know they wouldn't be in the position that they in today had that happen with Lincoln providing land. But you don't want to give them that part of that history, though. This is Black history presentation, a pre-Black history presentation. So you got time to use this, okay? Always look at how you've been educated to think in part, even in politics. Let me show you one other one. And this is very important because I've shown this before on the web, but take a look at this guy. Take a look at this one. You see, because if you really say everything that I've said to you, take a look at these guys. Okay, take a look at. I'll give you the era. Oh, ain't that cute? That makes cover. That makes cover now. Okay, that makes cover. Cover is very important. Remember that. But as you go through the article, oh, don't miss that one, because that's everything I'm trying to explain to you about, what did I say? Business and politics are one. And no matter how you try to get away from that, as you try to rat it out, still comes back though. See, because business and politics is one, like I said, they give billions away to Israel, making sure that that business in Israel, whatever the business is, stays going. You see, business and politics are one. Yes. Now, hold on a minute. I'm going to go a little bit more on that article, make sure we get it right. I don't want to give you nothing in part. Not today. Make sure we get that right. Now look at that. Look at them guys. You read it for yourself. It's not for you. Make sure you get that. Make sure that's close enough so you can really dig into that article. Yeah. Check it all out. Check it all out. Them the ones that was trying to explain, all that's, all on the table. But that's business and politics. And whether you want to believe that or not, you don't have to believe me. I don't want you to do that. Don't believe me. All I'm saying is make sure if something is authentic in your thinking, how you go about trying to find candidates, make sure that nothing is in part, and make sure it's got a cover. Because your cover, that means a lie. If you ain't got no cover, and you don't know nobody, what is the point? You have to know somebody in business and in politics. Keep that in mind. Don't let nobody come to you. Okay, vote for me then. I look good. I look good. Smell good. Why don't you vote for me? I'm popular even. But see, I'm a businessman. That's all. I ain't trying to snowball you. I get in their own minds, when I in my way of doing things, honestly. But see, to be a politician, I got to make you think I'm going to do something. But by the look at the neighborhood, the black neighborhood, you ain't never done it. But I got to make you think that I'm going to do what you want done. But that was all just out my mouth. I'm in office, and I'm getting paid. I ain't trying to hurt you, taking any money out your pocket, but you're doing the same pattern, dating back to Andrew Johnson. You see, who nipped Lincoln laws from you. That's what he did. He nipped them laws where you would never be able to just basically ramble through something and say, well, this is what my rights are. As a person of African descent, still in the country where you was enslaved. Andrew Johnson put the seal and the cap on that so you would never really find what you're looking for just flipping through. You see, even if you went to Google, even Google, no offense, don't pour me. I say don't pour me off the earth. But they don't even want to give it to you. It's all import and it's all designed. Now, how do I know that? Because I go to the National Archives, the U.S. National Archives, and I get mine straight from there. As for rights that Lincoln had in mind for you, where are they at? That's your problem. You want to only accept the life after Lincoln. So you have no real battle. You don't have none because you've never found out what your rights was anyway. Malcolm X said something, that for you to be careful that if you don't be aware of your citizenship, because technically you being a non-citizen, as Lincoln had for you, but yet some kind of way you accept a U.S. citizenship and you're willing to vote. Okay, but see, you have to listen at some point because accepting voting, that definitely seals you as a number for the selective service. You're a U.S. citizen. You don't have nothing to stand on other than the fact that right now, as Malcolm said, be careful because your descendants of your slave master will have you fighting wars for him. Lincoln didn't want you doing that. You know, he didn't want you doing it. If you want to volunteer, you can. But he wanted to make sure that that's something, because he knew that a white man could never really treat you equal. He knew this. That's why he wanted an independent black person. Male or female, black person, independent. So that you would never have to depend on a white person like you did for your slave master. That's not disrespecting anybody. This is U.S. history. Why would you want to depend on, as Malcolm said, it makes no sense, for your housing, for all kind of care? You know, you're all on your knee all the time begging him. Why you gotta, Malcolm X told you, you know, and actually, you don't even have to be violent. You could be just like Martin Luther King. You just accept the life after Lincoln. And it's a lot easier for you, I guess, but you claim to be educated, but yet when it comes to standing for what once was, you ain't to be found. You ain't to be found looking to do what was originally for you, your independence. You see, now you might say, well, that's segregation. Lincoln was a segregationist. I mean, I can't change that because he knew that at the lower level, especially at the lower level, why would a white man hire a black man if a white man needs something? He would help his own kind first, wouldn't he? You know, I mean, that's how it is. And so you've been shuffled around trying to get in wherever you can, and especially if you're talented, but even the talented ones, sometimes, you know, there's a lot of people back in high school who you knew was really good, but they didn't make it. You know, even Michael Jordan say, you know, he wasn't a starter. You know, I think maybe it's junior year, maybe senior year. He got cut. I think that's what he got cut off a team even. You see, so when it comes to your talent, you have to work at that too. It's respected, you know, but at some point you want somebody to find your talents and put you on the team. You see, and black people have their own leagues and stuff too, you know, but you always wanted to be with, you know, the whites. That's what you wanted. So when you wanted that, I guess you wanted anything that they gave you as far as whatever your history was. And you only got part of your history. So just remember that, you know, and you accept it. Stop believing certain things that come out of people's mouth. Because like I said, you wouldn't vote for me. Why would you do that? You know, you come up with all kinds of questions if I run for office. Why I shouldn't be there. I know you would. And you'll find what you was looking for too. Because I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I'm trying to give you your whole entire history. Hold on one second. And we're about ready to put some closure to this. But there is one other section that I'm hoping is still there. No, hold on. There it is. No, it ain't gonna happen tonight. But that's okay. That's okay. I think my point is made to you all to use this presentation for 19, the year of 19. Remember that. You know what's coming. The year 19 is here. This is 1975, and it might be something that can help you. This is Harry Gines, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation, you know, but always ask people in politics, who do you know? Thank you.